Sarah and I determined that the true number of natural planes in the multiverse cannot be counted even by an immortal. If one started at the beginning, new planes would have emerged and old planes would have disappeared before the count was concluded. Urza from the novel Planeswalker. Dominaria is undoubtedly one of the most important planes in the history of Magic the Gathering. It is the setting that we, as players, have experienced the most for much of this game's history, and it has been central to many of the great sagas we've seen in that time. From the Brothers' War to the Ice Age, to the Phyrexian invasion, the Mending, and even more recently in the Gatewatch storyline, this world has long been in the spotlight. Many important characters hail from this massive, legendary plane, and it features thousands of years worth of stories for these characters to play roles in. After all, Dominaria is one of the oldest planes in the multiverse, but there is at least one that is older. After ascending as a planeswalker, Urza would come to learn of the Phyrexians, their role in the corruption of his brother Mishra, and the danger they represented to his homeworld of Dominaria. He would spend the next 2,000 years or so battling against the forces of Phyrexia, planning on ways to defeat them once and for all and rid the multiverse of their infestation. However, no matter how victorious he would be against the Phyrexians, he could not find their home plane on his own. During this time, Urza would gain a traveling companion, Xantcha, whom he rescued from Phyrexian executioners. Xantcha, herself secretly a Phyrexian sleeper agent turned traitor, would take Urza to the plane of Phyrexia. There, the two would ride atop a dragon engine and devastate the first 4 layers of the hellish world before being overwhelmed and forced to retreat. Urza then came to the conclusion that the Phyrexians must have had another home world, one that they were banished from, and so he and Xantcha set out to learn of this homeworld, and to learn how the Phyrexians were first defeated. After the two searched for some time, Urza would learn of a place called Equilor. According to Urza, Equilor was an old name, the oldest name, one that belonged to a plane that rested on the end of time. And it was on this plane that Urza hoped to find the answers he was seeking. He and Xantcha would travel to this world, one far beyond most other planes, and find a place very different from most locations in the multiverse. They found that Equilor had an eerie stillness to it. Xantcha would describe the plane as if it had simply stopped growing, and Urza would ponder the neglect of the world, as if nothing had been put to use. Here, they would find that the locals had been waiting for Urza, expecting his arrival. The elders of this world were ancient, considering him no more than an infant in their eyes. These individuals were keenly aware of the multiverse, and were able to shield their own world from intrusion. Here, they claimed, they had no enemies, and feared not the Phyrexians, for like all dark things in the multiverse, they will fade away. Urza and Xantcha would choose to stay on Equilor for some time, with Urza himself taking to the mountain caves to learn all that he could of the multiverse. Here, he discovered that the Silex Blast, his final, catastrophic action in the Brothers' War, not only had a deep impact on Dominaria, but affected the multiverse as well. It caused the Shard of the 12 Worlds to form, creating a protective barrier around Dominaria formed by a bubble of multiple planes. With the knowledge of Dominaria's safety in hand, Urza instead looked on to, in his eyes, improving the world of Equilor, which he believed could be transformed into an artifice paradise. Before he could truly begin his work, however, he discovered that Freyalise had broken through the Shard of the 12 Worlds, and hastily made his return to Dominaria, never again setting foot on Equilor. While the Blind Eternities have been described as not being a location in the strictest sense, with no space to exist in, it should be noted that it took Urza 100 years to planeswalk from Equilor to Dominaria. With the exception of 2 plane chase cards, Equilor has not been seen or referenced at all since the Planeswalker novel, and while it is always good to remain optimistic, the chances of us returning to this faraway world are slim. Perhaps when the end times for Magic as a card game approach, Wizards of the Coast will allow us, as players, to journey to this plane on the very edge of time. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like. If you subscribe and hit the little bell notification, you'll be alerted to new lore videos I upload on my channel. If there's a piece of Magic the Gathering lore you're unfamiliar with, or would just like to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments section below. Thank you, and have a good day.